Oh, there's a private chat.
Starting now. Welcome to this edition of the CLYDE SHARADY Show. My name is CLYDE SHARADY, and thank you very much for the time that you are taking to watch. Tonight, I have a special guest. Her name is Ethel Diesa. Ethel is, Ethel Osazuwa. I'm maybe not getting the name right, and I will ask Ethel to forgive me. Ethel, how are you today?
I'm doing great, thank you. No, you got it right.
I
So
got it
my
right.
maiden name is Osazuwa, Ethel Osazuwa. See, there's always a confusion with my name. So it's Ethel. It's an
Yeah,
English name, and the automatic spelling, I mean pronunciation. The default is Ethel.
yeah.
But my parents from birth called me Etel, so I just go with Etel. And I am
Okay.
Osazua, but of course my partner's name is DSS. So and it's funny because on two different platforms, I use Osazua in my professional setting, like on
Yeah,
LinkedIn, but
yeah.
on like Instagram and other places that are more social and fun for me, I use the DSS. So both correct,
All
depending
right.
on the setting.
It's good to know. And sorry, I may have mispronounced the name a little bit, but I'm sure you will forgive me for that.
No
All
problem.
right. Yes. Thank you very much for your time. Let me tell our audiences a little bit about yourself, and then you will complete the picture. You are a researcher, and you are also a business owner based in Adelaide, and you are very much active in the community settings. Tell us a bit more after that.
I think you've said it really. Yes, we own a business, family owned business. And outside of that, we also run a non for profit, which I'm the chair for, Multicultural Business and Entrepreneur Network. And the business, the name's right there, Possible Consulting. And we're also on another family business, Quayle Finance. So quite a few things. And I recently started a podcast/show called Tranquil Dialogue. It's all about sharing and talking about peace and promoting tranquility for us as human beings. So yeah, that's really it. Not much about me, but I would say, yeah, life is good. But I do want to say, though, Clyde, thank you
Yeah,
so much for this invitation and really for promoting Black excellence around Australia. It's something very important. I see the vision. Some people may not see it as of yet, but I know the impact that it would have in the future, and it has for me at the very least at the moment, and the value that it definitely will have in the future. So thank you for leading change in Australia, especially for the Black community as well.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes, certainly. I think there are a lot of us in the community who are doing a lot of work. Some of that is, unfortunately, much of that is not always as highlighted as it should be. And I think it's important that we take steps to do that. We are in the entrepreneur space, and entrepreneur is taking its broader context, both commercial as well as social. And I know we're a very vibrant and dynamic community. It's our responsibility to make sure that we can continue to create momentum
Yeah.
and get our community to move forward. And people like yourselves are in that space. Now let's get back to some of what you do. You mentioned about the business there. You're also doing some research. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'm a researcher at a university and also currently completing my PhD at a different university. But yeah, my work really, or my expertise, I would say, is surrounding young people, called so culturally and linguistically diverse youth, predominantly in South Australia. But one of the research or my PhD research I'm attached to is both Australia, Canada, and the US. And for me, really, I have a passion just working with young people. I want to forever be young. They say sometimes, I'm young at heart. I never want to get old. So I think that's what drives me to work with young people. I always want to be surrounded by them. I think they have so much to offer with the young people, especially nowadays. I would say quite knowledgeable with social media and everything at their fingertips. And even just outside of that, with my research or with what I'm looking at specifically, is the well being of people from CLYDE backgrounds. So, life satisfaction, are they satisfied with life? Are they not? And what really contributes to that, to their satisfaction with life or psychological well being? And it's really interesting with some of the trends I'm seeing at the moment with the research. Um, of course, a lot of young people are doing well, settling well, but as we do know, there are some challenges. But I think in terms of mental health challenges, it's really huge. And I guess I'll go down specifically to the Black communities. With a lot of people I've spoken to, even just outside of research as well, um, they struggle quite a lot, which is unfortunate. And the sad news is a lot of them don't necessarily seek help. But I am happy to know or to say that some people are now being becoming aware of what resources are available. There's therapy, there's counseling available, and some are taking advantage of that. But of course, because of the taboo in our community, when you
Mm.
mention the word mental health, no one wants to get into, or no one necessarily wants to discuss it publicly. And for
Yeah.
some, even if they want to, but if your parents and people in your community or your circle are not embracing that conversation or open to having that discussion, then chances are you deter yourself away from wanting to take the next step to support yourself. But I think some young, progressive young people I'm speaking with, they're really taking that initiative to say, okay, you know what, I need help. Let me at least try. And I've had some who have gone in for help. They would say, well, it didn't work for me. It's not for me. But for most part, a lot of them would say it's very useful. I'm very happy about it. Again, if whoever I'm speaking to, whatever professional I'm speaking to, it's not working out, then it's a matter of just switching and trying different ones and see which one is culturally appropriate or
Mm.
sensitive to me and able to suit my needs. But I think, yeah, I mentioned earlier in terms of the trends, what I just want to highlight is that young people that feel they're satisfied with life, family plays a huge role in that. And that's something I think a lot of our communities, we're starting to lose that togetherness.
Mm.
For me, I would always preach, and I think research trends do say it as well. Families are stronger together. So we all need to find a way to stick together. We all have our challenges or differences, but it's a matter of working through those challenges to make life better for us, not just as adults, but for
Yeah.
the young people in our families, in our communities, because they're the now, not necessarily the future. They're the ones leading the narrative, the story, not right now, leading into the future. So, yeah, interesting work. I'm really excited about the work I do.
Sure.
And now transitioning in terms of my other research work is looking at the social and emotional well-being
Now,
for
before we go into that other
yeah,
research that
yeah,
you are doing, uh, with what you've just said there with the young people, uh, what are some of the most outstanding sort of funding? I know perhaps you haven't really finished
yeah,
that yet, but what are some
the
of the things that are
study.
transpiring already that you can
Yeah, you're
share?
right. Yeah, we haven't finished the study, but I think, yeah, one of the trends is definitely family, how functioning family is. So their relationship with their family, it could be relatives, whoever you live with, whoever you consider family.
Hmm.
Yeah, that has an impact in your life satisfaction or your psychological well-being, I would say. And outside of that, specifically for the Black youth, though, one of the main challenges, we're aware of it, we talk about it, but it seems like not much is being done. Or there isn't much changes. It's just really slow process. Is discrimination. So racial
Mm.
discrimination. Like I spoke to a lot of young people in some of the research and just in community in general, and a lot of the young people, at least the darkest skin people who are with a darker complexion, their experiences is quite different. Experience of racism, of discrimination at school, at work, and it's just really disheartening to see our young people having to experience such things at a young age. I know they say we have thick skin, but
Hmm.
there's some things I think children or young people should not have to experience, or any human really should not have to experience. We're all human beings. We should all treat each other with kindness, with respect. Shouldn't matter where you're coming from or what your background is or how dark or light you are. But unfortunately, it's still quite prevalent, I would say, here in South Australia, even in other states, even other countries, like I mentioned earlier, the US.
Hmm.
And of course, we see what's happening in the race at the moment with the politics over there. But yeah, and I do hope people, hopefully the more awareness we raise about this, because some people are just, I don't want to say ignorant, but they're just not aware, or they may say things, they don't know how hurtful it is to the other
Hmm.
person. Oh, I'm just saying that, it's okay. Oh, I'm just touching your hair, it's your hair. But no, you can't, you didn't ask. And even if you ask, I don't want you to touch my hair. Like, I would just go straight out and go, do you want me to touch yours? And then they give me a look. Well, if you're giving me a look, how do you expect me to feel when you say that in the first place? But yeah, there's been so many, well, quite a few examples and at work, as well. But we're progressing, I guess. Like I've heard recently, and I always say we're here to stay. So it's a matter of people learning how we can all work together and integrate into society, and yeah, work in harmony as one. One love,
Yeah,
one heart, isn't it?
absolutely. We got to work together, and that's
That's it.
part of what we're trying to do is to really, um, I suppose, bring that awareness in the community, that we ought to be able to learn to work more together, not just in our own communities,
Hmm.
as people of color, but also in the broader community, because sometimes there are divisions here and there. You mentioned racism. It's something that obviously a lot of us are dealing with, and it's not always easy to sort of resolve that in the most harmonious way. There's a need to educate people, and that's part of the work that we're doing in the community. That research will eventually shed lights. But from African perspective, do you feel like, and before we go to your next topic on the research that you are doing, are young people sufficiently equipped to deal with all these challenges, including racism?
Not so much because no one's helping them. It's like you're left to fend for yourself, right?
Mm,
Some parents do try. For example, I have two young kids, young girls. I try my best based on experience. I grew up in Canada. I've had my fair share of experiences of racism as well. But for a lot of school, actually, there's great research that came out. I don't think they've written anything formally yet, but there's a bunch of young researchers, so young Black kids to be specific, here in South Australia. I think they're doing the research in a couple other states as well, but I'm more familiar with the participants here, or the researchers here in South Australia. And they created a video. I don't, oh, I can't share the link. I wish I had thought. It's something related to diasporas, African diasporas in Australia.
yes.
I'll send you the link. Oh, maybe have you come across that
I,
research
I've
with
seen
Dr.
that video. I've
Melanie
seen
Carr?
that video. I think it's from my university. Is it Adelaide University? I'm not sure, but I've seen that
University of
video
South Australia.
in
Yeah, we
Australia.
had a
Okay.
symposium. Yeah,
Yeah.
the first week of July,
Yeah.
and they presented some of their findings. And the young people are creating mini videos for TikTok and other social media to create more awareness for teachers, because a lot of them are still studying, to be better equipped, how to address them, how to communicate with them, and to be more understanding of people from diverse backgrounds, or in this case, specifically African young people in high schools, primary school, or in university. And so, no, they're not equipped. The teachers are not equipped. And the students, young people themselves, don't know how to deal with it. And the schools themselves are not aware how to deal with it. And I think that's where that diversity training, which my organization does. I didn't mean to mention this today, but here we are. And there are other organizations that do the same here in South Australia, outside of the state, as well. It's We call it like the intercultural diversity, equity, and diversity, equity, and inclusion training or workshop, I would say. Like we do a half a day workshop, but it could be longer, it could be shorter, to support people in terms of cultural competence, being aware how to communicate and work with people from diverse backgrounds. Really, and what we promote in that, because I've done training where people go, I've had someone approach me saying, oh, so you're saying we can't really be ourselves if we're not from a, called background. We can't speak up anymore. I'm like, it has nothing to do with that. You can always speak up. It's a free country. We have freedom of speech. You can say whatever you want, but be kind about it. And what we really promote there is self-awareness.
Mm,
Because if you're not aware of yourself, how would you be open enough or know how to learn about someone else and their culture and where they're coming from and their experiences? How do you learn to value that? So we really
sure.
promote in our sessions self-awareness, because if you're aware of yourself, then you're better equipped to have that knowledge, or be able to have that switch to say, oh, this person feels that way. Maybe I should act different, or I could support them in a different way. So yeah, there are other ways. And I think for a lot of African parents, it's here, it happens. We can't pretend it doesn't happen. So it's
Yeah,
having that conversation with our young people
cool.
about what they could potentially experience, and some could experience. Maybe they're already. I have a now a 7-year-old, but when she had just started school. She came to me. I was getting not came to me. I was getting her ready in the morning to go to school, and her question to me was, "When am I getting lighter?"
Mm,
As a parent, my heart just sunk. What do you
mm.
mean, when are you getting lighter? Well, I wanted to play with this girl. She mentioned her name, and she said she won't play with me until I get lighter.
Okay. Yeah, that's that's something that sort of you want to go, ooh,
I took
it's not,
fire to the school. What did I do
yeah,
about it? Not
yeah,
much.
uh,
And it's heartbreaking. It's really
yeah,
heartbreaking. And I send them information. This is what you could do. This I had chat with different principal, vice principal, the teacher. It's
oh,
just, yeah,
I
it's
know,
really shocking. So yeah, I had to have conversation with my daughter. You won't get lighter. You're beautiful just the way you are. You're perfect. Like just having, instilling confidence in them. That's
yes,
very important. Letting
yes,
them know they have just the same right as much as the same power as someone else who doesn't look like them, and we're all equal. Although we don't treat each other equally, which we should, but
yeah,
we should always, always treat each other as one. Until we start doing that, there won't be any changes, or
ab-
at least the changes will be as quick as it should be.
absolutely, and that's why some of your work and other projects that are happening to sort of
Hmm.
shed light on some of these issues are important. But unfortunately, because of time, we gotta speed things up a little bit. I might have to bring you back on another show to talk more about the second aspect of your research. Let's get on to the business side of things. You are a businesswoman. You co-founded with your partner the Possible
Consulting.
Consulting. Tell us
Yeah.
what happens with that. What do you guys do, and
Oh,
how
what
is
do
it
we do?
going?
Hmm. That definitely came out of passion again, just like the work I do. So Possible Consulting, we started 2020, and I think in a nutshell, we're a social enterprise. In a nutshell, is to support people from diverse multicultural backgrounds into employment.
Yeah.
And we do this in various ways. But the main part, I would say, again, ties into that cultural diversity and inclusion within the workplace, is supporting individuals, specifically skilled migrants, international students, or people who've been out of work for a long time. Recently, well, the last year, since last August we started, so it's been a year this month. we started supporting people with disability into employment. So we don't provide NDI service or anything of that sort. We support people who have that service when they need staff, but because we have a labor hire component to possible consulting, but it's people living with disabilities, supporting them into employment, and then making sure that they're well supported mentally, physically to do the job that they've been recruited to do. But I think in terms of the main recruitment side of things with possible consulting, we do permanent recruitment outside of the labor hire as well. It's really to support individuals when they come in. So if you need that additional support, you're new, you don't know in terms of what a resume should look like here, because there are different standards when you come from different countries. The standards there are often different from here. Australian workplace culture is often different as well. Even specifically, the culture here in Adelaide is different from Melbourne, from other states. So we
Mm.
try and create awareness. This is what employees are expecting. This is what the job market look like here. These are the industries that you're more likely to gain employment. Those are things we try to promote and support new arrivals, specifically skilled and international students in. We support others, but those are our main clientele coming in. So that's the one way we promote Australian workplace culture and introduce people to it for people who are looking for work. And that's where for the organization, how the diversity, equity, and inclusion training comes in is that we support the organization with their diversity or inclusion plan, promoting inclusion within the workplace. So we make sure they both marry each other. It's not
Okay,
just supporting one and not the other. Make sure you support both so
we
they're
work
both
together.
able to work together
And
amicably.
how is that going? What are some of the challenges, and what are some of the successes you've had in that? Is that all going well?
Yeah, it's going really well. Extremely grateful. Honestly, how we started 2020, of course, we all know with what was happening with COVID, you couldn't
Yeah,
go out, you couldn't do much. So we didn't get much done that year, but it gave us a strong standing in terms of preparation on the back end,
yeah.
preparing the systems, preparing the marketing material to get the business going. So when 2021 came, we hit the ground running. That's what we were doing. And with that, it all really started through networking. I would promote that anywhere, any day, anytime. And Adelaide market is quite different from a lot of other places.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's all about who you know. Sometimes not even what you know, it's who you know. That's how you get jobs. I think they call it the 6 degree of separation or so, where out of six of us in a room, I would know someone, I would know someone else in that six people. Either we
Yeah.
went to school together or a grandmother knows somebody. So definitely in that sense, it's been really good and I would say exciting. So we did a lot of networking to get to where we are today. Like if you mention possible consulting in the employment space, even beyond, some people are talking about us interstate, not necessarily just South Australia, but I would say we have a good standing or a strong stand here in South Australia because not a lot of people per se, or Africans specifically, work in the employment industry here and running their own business. So quite different. I think we did something out of the box.
Yeah.
I would say unexpected, and again, we made sure we did our research. And it's not just saying, oh, we provide employment. I think it's beyond that. It's having a brand. That's our goal. We don't want to say, oh, yes, we own a business, we own a small business, which I see a lot of people doing, non-Africans or again, even African people. Oh, I own a small business, but there's no brand identity.
Mm.
But when you mention possible consulting, oh yes, I know possible consulting. We have that. At least we're still trying. Of course, we're still fairly new, just 4 years old. We turned four in April. But we have that brand identity, which is very important. That's something we're still trying to grow and make it stronger as we grow and as we go along. And in terms of challenges, quite a few or quite a lot, I would say again, when you're new to an industry that someone like you hasn't done before, it could be a challenge. But I think for most part, people have been really receptive. People have been extremely supportive of us and the work that we do. It's all about connecting you to someone who can help, who can help, who can help. And now we're able to connect people who can help, not just either us helping people or people helping us, but we're connecting new arrivals to organizations that could support them as well, even if it's not
Okay.
employment. So even through, so that's what Possible Consulting does. But we also have MBEN that's supporting people, small business owner. Again, because we have a good, strong network, we're able to direct people to other services as well. Just quickly to
All right.
mention though about the bias, sorry, to mention about the challenges. One of it is, yeah, people's unconscious bias. So I don't want to say it's when you're African, but again, when we're Black, people have mediocre expectations of us.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you can't do it, you're not good enough.
Mm.
um but then so we have to really push and say no, we're better than that. If we didn't think we're great enough, we wouldn't even start what we're doing. So people
That's right.
often have low expectation. I think trying to break that for us has been, yeah, I would say really tough. And I had someone, a mentor at some point, who said, yeah, they asked us when we met our first meeting, who's behind you? Do you have a white person behind you? I'm like, no, what do you mean? We're working extremely hard to put our name out there, put our business out there. And it's something we're passionate about. If you don't have that
Yeah.
passion, then eventually the
It's
fire
never gonna
burns
work.
down. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're very, just like what you do, right? So sometimes you see the gain, you see the return immediately, but for most part at the beginning, the first 2 to 5 years, it's extremely tough when you start something. So you really have to have that passion, that drive to want to see change for you to
Yeah.
continue going. And it's just us. We don't have anyone behind us. Oh, well, people will think it's not good enough. Why do
All
I
right.
need someone else who's not my color to be good, to tell me it's good enough or it's not good enough? And yeah, we just had to prove to people that we provide quality, we're good at what we do. Otherwise, we won't be doing what we do, and we're experts in what we do because either we've gone to school for it or we've worked in the industry for an X amount of time. So
All right.
that definitely has proven challenging, I would say. But again,
Yeah.
we've shown otherwise. So yeah,
Absolutely. There are challenges in business, and you just need to find a way to deal with them. We're going to
yes.
take a break, and when we come back, we will talk a little bit about news and current affairs, and we'll also talk a little bit about leadership and also spirituality. This is the CLYDE Sharadi Show, and we'll be right back. All right. Thank you very much, guys. If you're watching, for those who are watching, just a reminder that I'm talking to Ethel Osazuwa.
Ethel
Yes,
Osazuwa.
Ethel. Sorry, I keep going to Ethel. I'm sorry.
It's the
Anyway,
default.
we are talking about business. We talk also going to be now talking about what's happening around the world that connects to Afro communities. Ethel, there is the in the U.S. Kamala Harris, who is a black woman who is about to be the first woman to occupy the seat, the White House of the most powerful person on earth. If you know that eventuates, what are some of your feelings around that?
If that eventuates, I love how you've already given her that position. I think some of us are. Um, I am thrilled. I have been waiting for this moment. I'm not hugely following the news, but of course, I have enough knowledge to, I would say, comment to an extent. I'm really
Hmm.
excited. I was expecting this, to be honest. You know, the funny thing is, I heard recently that she was contesting against Joe Biden, to be the what is it called? To be the candidate in the last election rather than
Yeah,
Biden. Well,
yeah.
rather than her, they picked Biden. I wasn't aware of this information, but when they ran last time, when she became his vice, I actually said, I hope this lady becomes the president. when they introduced her, that I was like, oh, I hope nothing happens to Biden, but I see her as a president. That's exactly, not knowing what had transpired in the back end, because again, I don't follow it as much.
Yeah.
But so to hear this time around that she's, well, she hasn't formally been nominated yet, but
Yeah.
everyone has her back. I just read some news earlier today saying the news, they're doing her justice, they're doing the work for her. Again, I think this is the change that America needs. I don't live in
Mm.
America, so I can't necessarily fully say that, but I can say though this is the change that the world needs. Not just to see a woman of color, I believe Jamaican dad, an Indian mom, but just to see a woman in general in that position.
Yeah.
I think it's exciting and it gives us hope for the future. It gives us something to look forward to. And as women, it's empowering to see, yes, she can do it. I can do it as well. Last time I was telling my daughter, I'm like, oh, you could be the Prime Minister of
Prime
South
Minister.
Australia. She's like, oh, what do you mean? I'm like, you won't understand. Don't worry. Don't worry. It just means it just means you lead the whole country. She's like,
Yeah.
oh, so I would have lots of power. I'm like, well, at least you understand what that means. So no, it's really nice to see. And for me, I would say people are really excited about the whole situation because it's refreshing,
Yeah.
with the person that she's taking over from. I think, yeah, we're all excited and I can't wait to see her
But
win because
some
of
people
what she
say
stands for.
some people say she's not black enough. In fact, I mean, obviously, it could be from her or from her opponents who say that she didn't used to be black. Now she's black because she wants to get vote. Anyway,
No,
what
I think once you have the black blood, you
qualify?
automatically you're black. By
Yeah.
default, you're black. Even if you
Okay.
don't want to be, by default you're black. So
Absolutely.
so no, again for me, I'm glad that she has black blood in her. Of course, it makes me even more proud. But
Yeah.
to be
That
honest
is a
with you,
woman.
she's a woman.
Yeah.
I know
Absolutely.
Hillary Clinton didn't pass through when she
Yeah.
did it. And to be honest with you, if they had picked Kamala Harris in the last election rather than Biden, she may not have passed. But given
Yes.
the current situation, the climate in the state, or in the nation and globally, I
Yeah.
think she would lead with grace. And
Absolutely.
that's another thing I've been noticing or observing, just watching her. Initially, I'm like, she doesn't look like a president, but I see her as a president. When I say she doesn't look like a president, again, the typical president we see, male, at least we're talking about America. There are other countries that have had
Yes.
um, heads
Female
of
president.
state or leaders. Yeah. But
Yeah.
she's friendly. She looks approachable. She's always smiling. If you look at a lot of her pictures, she's smiling.
Yeah.
And that's something we don't see. So I think that that's change, and that's the change we need. And again,
Yeah.
women lead differently, and it's
Well,
exciting. Yeah.
apparently she smiles too much, and that may be a problem. But anyway,
She's
that's
what?
just another.
No, she's what?
She smiles too much. She laughs too much.
No. No, and I know some people would have a problem with that, but again, she's a woman. That's who
Yeah,
she is. That's what
absolutely.
makes her Kamala. And it's a matter
Yes.
of sorry, Harris. Can she lead the country? Yes. If
Yes.
how I see it is, they wouldn't put her in that position. She wouldn't have gotten nomination in the first place when she ran to go against Biden in the last election if she wasn't capable. So let's
Mm.
put everything else aside. Is she capable? She was an attorney. So what more are you looking for? I think, but again, we'll all see how it all unfolds.
Hmm.
When she wins, we
When
hope
she
she
wins.
wins. When
That's
she
right.
wins, because we're all voting and ruling for her. We hope. Well, obviously, I can't vote officially. I'm not American, but in terms of seeing change in the nation, I think people need something to give us hope that things could be better.
Okay.
And she
Well,
cares about women's issues, and that's important to me.
that's good. We will
Continue.
be keeping our fingers crossed that for you women, we male don't know, but we've had too many of them. Let's keep fingers crossed that this time you women get a chance. Anyway, second thing is we're talking about Dangote in Nigeria. Dangote, for those who don't know, is the richest, the wealthiest black man on earth. Nigerian born and Nigerian full stop. He owns the biggest refinery in Nigeria, which was commissioned only about 6 months or so ago, and has a very huge capacity to refine oil. But apparently, he's been having some issues sourcing that crude oil from the Nigerian government. There's been some controversy in the media lately. Some of you may have watched that, others may not. But the problem is, we kind of seeing where, as entrepreneurs, and it's not just Dangote. It's we've also seen other cases, even in our communities here, as Black or um, African Australian, where the community doesn't seem to support entrepreneurs as much. And in Nigeria, it looks like the government is not supporting Dangote much. What are some of your thoughts on this, Ethel?
It's a big issue, isn't it?
Yeah.
In terms of our own people supporting our own, supporting yours, support yours to make sure they can do better and to make the community, the society, the country, the continent as a whole better. I think they say when Nigeria sneezes, the rest of the world, not world, the rest of Africa would get a cold. I don't know if you
Hmm.
understand that. That's how
Yeah.
powerful Nigeria is. And you would think the government would be a lot more supportive. I know there's a bit of issues behind it, how the oils are not, the quality of his oil is not good enough. There's all these issues they're bringing up, but they were there when he started. So
Mm.
I'll give an example. For example, here when even Deloitte, all these big Deloitte, KPMG, all these big, powerful organizations, they get bailout from the government. They receive funding. They get support from the government
Hmm.
to operate. So why can our nations, the African countries, why can't they do the same? And I had heard that he's also open to working with the Nigerian government to own a share. Why can't they look for ways to support him? They were there when it all started. I remember seeing when Tinubu first went in power,
Mm.
and Dangote and I believe Bill Gates had gone to Nigeria to congratulate him. That was big, I guess, public news. So that means they were supportive of him. So why now the change of heart or change of decision? Why can they again provide funding if the quality is not good enough? Support the locals. You have to support the indigenous, because if you don't, then they go somewhere else to get the support that they need. Then how are we really going to grow the country? How it just doesn't make sense to me if
Yeah.
what they're saying is true. Of course, I'm not there. I'm not experiencing that. I'm all the way here in Australia. But if all that is true, I think the government needs to do better, can do better for the people there and for the diasporas here as well when they go back home. Here, when you have a business, like for us, for example, there are little funding, grant, and things you can apply for that could support you to either start, grow, or sustain your business to an extent.
Hmm.
But back home, I've heard there's really almost no support to people. I know they have little programs like supporting a woman, so she can put food on the family table. But I guess
Mm.
beyond that, those little UN often donations or organization donations, then there isn't that much support from the government. And I think our Nigerian government specifically can do a lot better for its people. And I also heard Dangote mention that he didn't get any funding from the government when he started the project. Again,
Mm.
this is something to grow the economy, to grow the GDP of Nigeria. So why isn't the government interested to saying how can we support you? How can we make this one of the best in the nation? It's beyond me. But again, that's it goes into us not necessarily supporting each other, which to an extent I think it's a mindset that
Yeah.
we need to get out of.
Yes.
Again, we've gone through slavery, we've been told we're not superior enough, and of course to fight against each other.
Yeah.
So it took centuries to do that. It's going to take centuries to unlearn that, to say no,
Well,
we're better. As I said earlier at the beginning of this, we're better together as family, as a nation. We're stronger together. When we're united, nothing, absolutely nothing can break us apart. We can do
absolutely.
anything. So what we need is unity. um Nigerian government supported entrepreneurs or business owners there, even those coming from the diaspora. Africa is a nation as well. I know they talk about that. We have the ECOWAS passport. They're talking about the national, sorry, the passport for the whole continent. I don't know when, if that would happen. But
Yeah,
again, where it's working, but we just have to find a way to make it actually work and work
absolutely,
well, because we have so
absolutely.
much resources and so much to gain, in hopes that, the generations coming up, like us, ourselves, yourself, eventually we're happy to lead change, and I hope we can take it further back to our countries, or support the people in those countries to lead positive change.
Absolutely. All right. That's we're gonna take another short break, and when we come back, we talk about a little bit about community leadership, which connects definitely with what we just said about the support in the community or the government and all that sort of thing. But let's go for a break, and I'll see you on the other side.
No worries.
All right. Now we are talking leadership. Just a couple of comments on how do you see the leadership within the African Australian community overall, and also the leadership in Africa. Someone said all of our problems, whether it's here, whether it's in the continent, wherever African people are, is connected to leadership. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree. Yeah, it's all a matter of who the leader is. That determines how the nation, the people are steered in the direction they're steered towards. I definitely say leaders have a huge role to play in that. And in terms of African communities here in leadership, we're doing well. We're doing well. Not as great as other communities, but again, we're still establishing here. We're new, we're emerging communities. It takes time, but I think it's really good to see a lot of not just young people, even older people doing well in specific areas or industries. Like we have managers working in government, both federal and state departments. We have people like communities specific, like Kenyan community, for example, African Community Council, I would mention here specifically in South Australia. They're doing well leading change. Congolese community of South Australia, they're doing quite well. But again, we still have a long way to go. Ties into the discussion we had earlier, right? We still have a very long way to go in terms of leading change within our community and promoting excellence, Black excellence, promoting professionalism in the things we do. But yeah, it's a step at a time, and it takes a whole village, as we mentioned earlier. So it's not just one person leading change, it's having the people behind them trying to break through the wall and leading and making or creating that impact within our
And,
society.
and what sort of advice would you give to anyone in the community about what they should, because I suppose the whole leadership of the community is not something that is only should be left to only a few people who are so-called leaders. It's pretty much about every one of us being a leader in their own area of gifting, in their own space, whether it's in the family, in the community, and beyond. What would you tell others in the community about lifting that leadership quality so that overall the community gets better in that whole collaborative and united framework?
Again, I promote togetherness in anything I do, anything I say. I guess I'll just start quickly. What is the government, or who is the government? It's the people, for the people, by the people. That's exact same thing as the community. And it's for the people, it should be led by the people. But often when people hear community or leaders in community, oh, we'll let the leaders deal with it, it's their problem. But if you don't show up at events, you don't show up and support the leaders, then they're only limited to the capacity of what they have and what they can do to the few, five, six people in a board or in an exec, for example. So it's really important that people in the community show up again for each other. If we show up together, we're united. People, the outsiders see that. People see that we're united, and they would want, oh, okay, they're doing really well. Let's see how we can support them. So it's really good. Like I hear people, it's really, again, disheartening. People go, oh, I don't want to get involved with my community. There's just
Mm,
too much drama, it's too much trouble. But again, it's beyond that, right? You have to overlook those things, and if you don't want that, you come in and speak up and try and make changes to make sure there isn't too many challenges or barriers to being a part of a community. Personally, I think it's very important to be a part of a community. My mom is a great example of that. I think I spoke to you earlier. My mom is an advocate, where, and that's something I enjoy doing as well. Could have been, again, picking it up from her. So it's really important that we support the leaders in and of our community, and that we
yeah.
show up to things, because if we don't show up, I think they say information is influence. If you
Mm,
don't show up to things, you don't have the information that you need, then you don't know what your privileges are. And if you
mm.
don't know what your privileges are, then you lack a lot in, meeting up with what's happening within your surrounding, and you lose out on opportunities, unfortunately, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh,
All
sorry,
right.
go ahead.
I know it's about time. I'm sorry, I may have to interrupt you because we on
I
a set
saw.
time. We'll take another short break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about spirituality before concluding the show. Okay. In a moment, here we go.
Black. On.
All right. Our next
I
segment
love
is
the
on.
music, by the way. Sorry.
Love the music. Great. That's good.
Yeah.
Let's keep that
Go
groove.
ahead.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
cool. All right. I'll start with a simple question, which can be a bit private, but I hope you don't mind. Are you a spiritual person?
Yes, I'm a spiritual person.
All right.
But in terms of religion, I'm not
Yes.
so religious.
That's all right.
But yes,
We're
I
not
am
talking.
spiritual.
All right.
Yeah. I believe in oh, go ahead, sorry.
No, that's okay. Go ahead. No, no. Yeah, I may have interrupted. I just expand on your spirituality, where you
Yeah,
come from.
no, I strongly believe in a higher being, for sure. There's something out there that just loves Ethel so much. And when I say I believe in a higher being, it's just because a lot of things I have manifested somehow comes to pass. Right now, I received a message from a family member, my sister, just last week, and she was telling me, oh, she sent me a note of, I guess, one of the gratitude journals I wrote when I was a lot younger, probably almost 20 years ago now. And it had said, I want to become a professor, I want to be married, I want to have kids all happily. And exactly what's happening, I'm towards that path. And not just that, just everything that has happened in my life, I have manifested it. I have not necessarily prayed for it. None of this, a lot of it I mentioned earlier, didn't pray for it, but it has come to pass. It has all happened because I believe there's someone out there who is looking out for me, saying, yes, I tell you deserve it. And when say I manifest things, I don't manifest and just sit around, and
Hmm.
wait for things to happen. No, I work towards those goals. I work towards those direction, and things just end up working out. Sometimes not when I want, but eventually they do work out how I want it to be. But I think, yeah, I do believe in God as well.
All right.
Again, I'm not so religious, but I believe there is a God out there, the higher being, a God, he, she, I think it's a she, out there that's really supporting me and making sure life is going smoothly. And I've had quite a few revelations to prove that to me as
Absolutely.
well. But I think spirituality is the relationship you have with yourself internally, and really trying to find that purpose in life for yourself. And spirituality helps with that. And for me personally, I'm glad I found my purpose. And yeah, I'm very happy.
All right. We know that spirituality can provide a very powerful drive for people to pursue their life goals and life
Mhm.
dreams. But at the
Mhm.
same time, spirituality can also potentially become an impediment when, for example, some of the things we're seeing, not just in Africa, but around the world, the way some churches and some religious groups appear to practice the whole concept of a religion. But coming back, because everything here is connected to the welfare and the advancement of the Afro communities around the world.
Correct.
Do you think that these our spirituality as Black people and many of us, not all of us are spiritual, but a lot of us are. Could that potentially become an impediment to some extent with regards to our own development?
For religion, yes, definitely. I think everyone, most people back home, I would say specifically Nigeria, carry God in their head. Like they worship the pastors, and yeah, not abnormal, but I would like to say to an extent, almost that way. Because
Yeah.
every little thing, oh, God would take care of it. God would, there'll be a miracle in my life. God would
Mm.
yeah, it won't, you have to help yourself for God to help you. God helps those who help themselves. So people just really mirror religion. And then they don't go to work, they don't do anything. Obviously in situations where there are no jobs, like in some countries it's a different story, but it's all about God, 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 God. But and then that's the thing. I feel to an extent it's probably even pretense for some, because when they're back home they carry God, but then once they get out of that situation they're in, they forget about God. So really, is it genuine, that religion that you're talking about, the God that you're claiming to worship? So it has to be something, I guess, to go back to spiritual, something genuine deep down inside. So when you're
Hmm.
talking about God and all that, and yes, people did say with religion, it came in, it was brought into the African continent by, the colonizers.
Europeans.
Yeah. So it was brought in through them. And of course, it's not something that's ours. So it's different and it has become an impediment, unfortunately. But again, we as human beings, like as I said earlier, it's all about the mindset. How do you unlearn that? We can't
Yeah.
continue blaming, oh, they brought this in, but you've adopted it. So how do you adopt it? Yes, fine. You've done it already. It's been centuries of this practicing, Christianity, for example. But then
Hmm.
how do you take out what works for you and then to make the world a better place, to make
Hmm.
your country a better place, to make you as a human being a better person? That's what's important.
Okay. All right. That's what's important. Before we finish, we're just
Yeah,
gonna take a little break and come back.
Mick. All right, no worries. Thank you. Mujinga!
Okay. Before we finish, we got a little game
Can we
that we.
take a break, please?
All right, we'll take a break. We'll take a
Thank
break.
you. Thanks.
No worries.
Sorry.
All right. We understand you are a mother, have a family, and these sort of things happen. So no drama. Everybody understand these things. So you don't need to worry too much about that.
Thank
Before we
you.
finish, we got a little game that we play. We're just gonna ask you
Okay.
two questions, and we want you to answer very briefly. It's just kind of a yes or a no or one word, and
Okay.
that's pretty much it. We want to test your a little bit of your Africanity, because I can hear that American Canadian accent. Maybe you just,
Canadian,
they'll say
yeah.
you're too American, you're not enough African. I'm just kidding. Anyway, but
Yeah.
let's go. What's your favorite African meal?
Definitely I would say I used to say goosey soup and
Yeah,
fufu, but I would say jollof rice. I love rice, so yeah. But
and
between jollof rice and thin. Yeah, go ahead, please. And
and
which what?
which jollof rice is better between the Nigerian and the Ghanaian one? I know the answer already anyway, but oh, the
Niger
Senegalese
jollof.
one.
Niger jollof. Niger jollof. I went to Ghana. I lived in Ghana for about
Yeah,
3 to 6 weeks or so.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why people talk about Ghanaian jollof. It's not. Anyways, the ones I had for the weeks I was there, yeah, nothing
It's not
compared
as
to
good as you would have
Nigerian.
wanted it.
But
Okay,
depends
no
on who
problem.
makes it at the end of the day. Next, sorry.
Next, what? How many African languages do you speak, if any?
I speak my mother tongue, Isha,
All right. How do you say hi
fortunately.
in Ishan?
Onegbe, how are you? Like, how's your body? Onegbe.
Okay. Well, I'll make sure when I meet an Ishan, somebody speaking Ishan, I'll get that.
Onegbe.
And who's your best male African model?
That's a really tough question. My best male African model.
Or if it's tough for male, let's go for female.
Um, Again, male, I go definitely male. Actually, I would say my husband, possible. Yaya Diesa, he is amazing. Just
Yes.
the values that he carries, the beliefs and everything aligns with mine. He's so driven. Yeah, so definitely
Good.
him in every way. Female, again, when you say African, I guess me growing up in Canada, I would say Michelle Obama. Again, seeing a woman in a leadership position, it's very important. So yeah,
Okay. All right. We will stop here. You got the answers right. I'm not sure about the jollof rice one. That's going to be another debate. But you got all the answers right. So thank you very much. That was just a little
you're
game
welcome.
at the end of the show. We thank you very much for your time.
You're
Etel,
welcome.
this time I'm getting it right, not Ethel
Yes,
anymore.
well
Okay.
done. I tell. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. So we
You're
appreciate your
welcome.
time, and we wish you good luck with not only your research that you're doing, and we'll
Thank
call you
you.
back again when it's the fundings are released, so we can talk about it. We wish you good luck for the business with your partner, Pasibo
Thank
Diesa,
you.
and we would like to have you anytime when there is other important matters to address from the African Australian perspective in South Australia or beyond.
It's been a pleasure and thank you so much. This has been so much fun. I appreciate it and I appreciate your time, Clyde. And like I said earlier, please continue doing the amazing work you're doing. It's making an impact in our community. You're making a footprint. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And for those
You're
watching,
welcome.
we appreciate your time to watch this video. Please, as usual, we say share, comment, like. And if you want to come on this show to speak about something that you are passionate about, we're more than welcome to organize that. Just contact us, and we will be more than happy to see how we can potentially organize that. Until next time, stay blessed, stay connected, and keep watching the CLYDE SHARADY Show. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye bye.